Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. If you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. In today's tutorial, we've got more basket weave goodness in the form of wide leg trousers that still manage to be fitted in all the right places. The best of all worlds. Speaking of, if you're interested in some of the best crochet this world has to offer, you are in the right place. We have hundreds of the best modern crochet tutorials and patterns with even more dropping twice weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now, it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 640 grams of yarn. That's 1,430 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us if you have to wear contacts or glasses. My eyesight is atrocious, so yes, I do wear both. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small. You can adjust it for your size, and I'll explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting these bottoms started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 5mm hook and start off by making a chain the height that we'd like for the waistband to be. I'd like for mine to be just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 10. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to do our first row, which is a slip stitch row. Block off that last chain and do a chain 1. Into that chain that we blocked off for the second chain from our hook, insert with a slip stitch, so insert and gently pull through everything. Again, into that next chain, yarn over and gently pull through both loops. Continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain, remembering not to tug too tightly, otherwise the following row will be too tight to work into. We're now at the end of our row 1, so let's get started on row 2, so chain 1 and flip. Now it's going to be 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So finding the first stitch from our previous row, insert into that back loop or the loop that's furthest away from us, yarn over, pull through everything. Again, next stitch is back loop, insert, yarn over, and gently pull through everything. Continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Our first 2 rows are complete. From here, it's going to be a repeat of our row 2, so just 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch with a chain 1 and flip at the end of every row, until we have a waistband that can stretch, because remembering this will have a decent amount of stretch to it around the widest part of our hips. Now the amount of rows that we have needs to be in multiples of 4, but once we have that, I'll meet you back so we can seam everything together. So we are back. I've just completed the entirety of my waistband. I have a total of 132 rows. That's 19.5 inches or 49 centimeters unstretched. Now from here, we're going to seam it up together. So what we're going to do is fold our waistband in half, making sure that nothing's twisted. Then we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitches of both the front and the back. So now that our hook is into the corner stitch of both the front and the back, we're going to yarn over and pull through and do a chain up of 1 just to secure. Now we're going to do an outside loop slip stitch seam to make it look like another back loop slip stitch row. So finding that first stitch into the front panel, we're going to insert only into that front loop. First stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop. Then yarn over and pull through everything on our hook. Again, next stitch into the front panel, insert only into that front loop. Next stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop. Then yarn over, pull through everything, and that's it. Continue with 1 outside loop slip stitch seam into every stitch, and I'll meet you back when we don't have any more stitches left. So now that our seam is completed, we're now going to single crochet along the top of our waistband. So what we're going to do is chain 1 and simply put 1 single crochet into every side row. So this is my first side row right here. I'm going to find that top loop and insert, starting with 1 single crochet. Into my next side row, which is this raised row right here, I'm going to find this top loop, insert with 1 single crochet. Again, This is my next side row, which is this divot. Find that top loop and insert with a single, and we're just going to continue with one single crochet into every side row, making our way all the way around. We should end up with the same amount of stitches as rows that we made, and lastly, the single crochet row is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch. When it's completed, try your piece on, making sure that it's not too tight. If it is, reuse some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, reuse some stitches with a tighter grip. We are back and our single crochet row is complete. We did already do a chain up a 1 and cut. Now from here we're going to separate our pant legs between right and left, and then we can get started on the length. So this is going to be fairly simple. Since we all should have ended on an even number of stitches, we're just going to cut our pant legs in half. We're all going to insert our stitch markers into the 2 stitches nearest to our tail end, then find the 2 middle stitches. Every size should have 2 middle stitches, and there should be the same amount of stitches on both sides. I inserted mine into the 66 stitch from my stitch markers. Did the same thing on the other side, and the 2 middle stitches should be right next to each other. Then from here we can all insert our hook into one of our stitch marker stitches, and then make a chain the length that we like for the pants to be. So a really quick tip, we want to make sure that we're placing our waistband where we want it to sit when it's on. So either high-waisted or low-rise, that is completely up to you. Then from here, we're all going to make a chain that is in multiples of 3. I've already measured mine out. We can make this as short or as long as you want. I like for mine to be long. So I'm going to start by making a chain of 129. That's roughly 30 inches or 76 centimeters for me. Now once we have our chain, we're all going to do one additional chain. So I'm going to chain 1. That chain 1 will count as a base chain. Then block off that last chain and do a chain 2, and we're going to do a half double crochet row. So yarn over and into that chain that we blocked off with the 3rd chain from our hook, insert with a half double. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. Again, yarn over, into that next chain, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, and continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. Alrighty, so we've made our way all the way down with our first row. Now we're going to connect it into the base. So how that's going to work, only for this first row, is just finding that next available stitch into the base, and we do want to make sure that we're working towards our middle stitch marker stitch. We're going to find that available stitch and slip stitch into there. And just as a quick note, that slip stitch doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's just to connect. Now our row 1 is connected, and we do need to work our way up to the following row, so we're going to slip stitch into the following 2 stitches into the base as well, just to work our way up. So into that next stitch into the base, insert with a slip stitch. Into that next stitch into the base, insert with another slip stitch. None of those slip stitches count as a stitch. Now we're going to flip our work. Now what we're all going to do from here is 3 front post treble crochets. So how that's going to work is we're all going to start with a yarn over of 2. We're going to find the last half double crochet from our previous row, and we're going to insert our hook underneath the body of the stitch, not into the top. So insert your hook underneath the body of that first half double crochet and through the other side. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through, and then we should have 4 loops on our hook. Then from here, we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our first front post treble crochet. Let's do the next one, because they're going to be worked in sets of 3. Yarn over twice again. Underneath the body of that following stitch, bring your hook down, in through that gap, underneath the body of that stitch and through the other side. Then again, yarn over, pull through. Now yarn over and pull through 2 until we all have 1 loop on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2. This is pull through 2, pull through 2. That is our second front post treble. Let's do 1 more, yarn over twice. Underneath the body of that next half double crochet, through the other side, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now we're going to do 3 back post treble crochets, so yarn over twice. We're going to bring our hook underneath our work now, and then over the body of that next half double. So bring your hook underneath our work, in through that next gap, and over the body of that next half double, and through the other side. Then yarn over and pull through, then again yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. That is our first back post treble. Now we're going to do 2 more because they're still worked in sets of 3. So yarn over twice. Bring your hook underneath our work, over that next half double crochet's body and through the other side. Pull through, then yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Once more, yarn over twice, underneath our work, over the body of that next stitch, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now altogether we should have 3 front posts, 3 back post trebles, and from here we're just going to continue to do 3 front posts, 3 back post trebles, making our way all the way down. Then I'll meet you back when we have just 1 stitch left and we can close off the row together. So we are back. We've made our way all the way down with our 3 front post, 3 back post treble crochets, and now we're just going to double crochet into the last stitch. So yarn over. Into that last stitch we're all going to insert, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now our row 2 is complete. So let's get started on our row 3. That's going to start with a chain 3 and flip our work. Now our basket weave rows are going to be in a 4-row repeat. Now getting started on our second basket weave row or our row 3, every odd number row is just going to extend our previous row stitches. So after we flip, my first 3 set of stitches look like 3 back posts. So I will be doing 3 back post stitches into there. But if yours look like 3 front posts, you will be doing 3 front posts. So what we're going to do is yarn over twice. We are not going to work into that last stitch from our previous row just because we want that to be a nice and clean edge. So only working into our post stitches. I'm going to find my first post stitch. Since mine looks like a back, again, I'm going to do a back post treble. So insert, pull through 2, 2, 2. We're still worked in sets of 3, so put 1 back post treble into each of the following 2 stitches as well, or front post if you have to do front posts. Now that we have our first 3 stitches completed, our following 3 is just going to extend those 3 stitches as well. So mine look like 3 front posts. I'll be doing 3 front posts and just continue to extend our previous row stitches till we reach the end of the row. Then I will meet you guys back. So we are back. We've made our way all the way down with our row 3. Now we're going to close off our row with a double crochet into that last stitch the same way that we ended our previous row. Then just into that last gap, insert with a double crochet just so that we don't miss it on that stitch. Then what we're going to do is slip stitch it into the base. Now this is going to be done a little bit differently than our previous row, but it is going to be the way that we're going to do it for the rest of this portion of the piece. So what we're going to do is count up the next 2 available stitches. There's 1, there's 2. Into that second stitch into the base, insert with a slip stitch, and now our row 3 is complete. Now we need to work our way up to row 4. So slip stitch into the following 2 stitches into the base. There's 1, there's 2, and flip our work. And now when it comes to doing any even number row or any row that starts along the base and works out towards the outer edge, we are going to be doing the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like. So yarn over twice. Into the first post stitch from our previous row, I'm going to be doing a back post treble crochet. Since my first set of stitches look like front post trebles, remember we're doing the opposite. But if yours look like 3 back posts, you will be doing 3 front posts. So just do the first one together. I did my yarn over already. I'm going to skip over that double crochet because remember that's just there to end off the row. And into my first post stitch from my previous row, I am going to do my back post. If you're doing a front post, that's fine as well. And from here, they're still worked in sets of 3. So for me, I'm going to be doing 2 more back post treble crochets. Then my set of stitches right after that look like 3 back posts, so then I'll be doing 3 front posts. Remembering just doing the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Alright, we are back. We have just completed our first 4 rows. Now we're going to do our row 5, but right before we do that, we are going to need to double crochet into that last stitch. So yarn over, into that last stitch, or just into that last gap that we have, insert with a double crochet. We are always going to close off our row with a double crochet. Then from here we're going to chain 3 and flip our work. Now since we're working on a row 5, same rules apply. Since it's an odd number row, we're just going to be extending our previous row stitches. So my first set of stitches look like 3 front posts, so I will be doing 3 front posts. If yours look like 3 back, you'll be doing 3 back posts. Just continue to extend our previous row stitches to reach the end of the row. So we are back. We have made our way all the way down with our row 5. Now we're going to close off the row. It is going to be done the same way as our previous odd number row. So reminder, always put 1 double crochet into that last gap that we have in the row. And just to connect it into the base once more, find the next 2 available stitches into the base. There's 1, there's 2, slip stitch into there. Remember that slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch. Then, since we're here just to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches into the base. There's 1, there's 2, flip our work, and then we're going to get started on our 4-row repeat. So all that 4-row repeat is every even number row is going to be the opposite from what our previous row's stitches look like. Then every odd number row is going to be an extension of our previous row stitches. We're just going to continue to repeat those rows, making our way all the way down until we're worked into our stitch marker stitch. Now once we're worked into there, we are automatically going to work our inner thigh connector. So if you guys end along the outer edge, do not do a chain up 1 and cut, but if you guys are worked into that stitch marker stitch, like how I am, we are going to do a chain up 1 and cut, then we'll work on our inner thigh connector together. So we are back. We have just completed one portion of our pant leg. Now we're going to get started on the inner thigh connector, but I have ended along the top, so I did do a chain up 1 and cut. For those of you that are along the edge, you guys can chill out. But what we're going to do from here is try our piece on, making sure that our waistband is staying where we would like for it to sit when it's completed. Then insert our stitch marker into any stitch that's in multiples of 3 from the top, where we'd like the inner thigh connector to be. So you can insert your stitch marker a little bit lower for a drop crotch or higher for a more snug fit. That's completely up to you. But I inserted my stitch marker into the 33rd stitch from the top. That's roughly 8 inches or 20 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to do the following row. Now for those of us that have ended along the top end, our following row that we're about to get started on is an even number row. So we are going to be doing the opposite from what our previous row's stitches look like. For those of you that have ended along the bottom end, what you guys are going to do is chain 3, since y'all didn't cut yet. Flip your work. Then extend your previous row stitches, making your way all the way up until you reach your stitch marker. Then just close off the row with a double crochet, just like how we've been doing this entire time. Then for everyone, the inner thigh connector is just going to connect from the front portion of your pant legs, in between your legs, to the back portion of your pant legs. And then once when it fits and you get the right bagginess that you guys want, then we'll seam it together. So for those of you that ended along the outer edge, you guys are pretty simple. Just continue to repeat our row sequence that we've been doing this entire time. Now for those of you that have ended along the base, it's going to be done exactly the same way, but I'm just going to show you guys how we're going to start it off. So once when our stitch marker is into place, we're all going to insert our hook into our stitch marker stitch. Then what we're going to do from here is pull our working yarn through and start with a chain 3. That chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch. We just need the height. Then we're just going to do our first set of stitches. And like I said, we are going to be doing the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like. So my first set of stitches, making sure we're working down towards the bottom, is 3 back posts. So I will now be doing 3 front posts, making sure we're working into the same increments of 3 front posts as the rest of our piece has been so far. And that's it. Continue to do the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like. At the end of the row, making sure we're always closing it off with a double crochet because we do want that clean edge, and just continue to do our same row sequence that we've been doing this entire time. Once we have this entire portion completed, I will meet you guys back right after an odd number row, only counting our inner thigh rows. So I'll meet you back along the bottom so we can seam it up together. I am back and my inner thigh connector is complete. I have a total of 7 rows just for this portion, or a total of 40 rows for me, and my total width that I have is 16.5 inches or 42 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to seam up the entirety of our pant leg. So we're going to fold our pant leg in half, making sure that it is flipped wrong side out. So now that our pant leg is folded in half, we're going to be inserting our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Then we're going to do a single crochet seam all the way up. So what we're going to do is yarn over and pull through everything on our hook and just single crochet into both sides. So find that first stitch into the front panel, insert, first stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet. Once more, next stitch into the front, next stitch into the back with a single crochet, and continue this till we don't have any more stitches left to work into the inner thigh connector. When we don't, do a chain up 1 and cut, then repeat everything we did here on the other side. Alright, so we are back. We have just completed seaming up our inner thigh, and we repeated the same thing on the other side. Now from here, we're about to seam up the middle. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out, meaning the seams that we just did for the inner thigh are along the outside, because we want all the seams to be on the same side. Then what we're going to do from here is into the 2 stitches that we have into that single crochet row along the edge of our waistband that both our right and left pant leg is coming out of. Now from here, we're going to do the same single crochet seam that we just did for the inner thigh all the way down until we reach the inner thigh. So just as a refresher, we do want to make sure that all the seams are along the same side. So when you press these together, make sure that everything is facing correctly. Then I will meet you back so I can show you how we're going to be working into our side rows. Alright, so we've made our way all the way down with our seam. Now we are right at our inner thigh connector. And we are still going to be doing a single crochet seam. We're just going to be putting 2 single crochets into every side row because we don't have actual stitches to work into. So let's just do the first few together. All we're going to do is grab both of our inner thigh portions, making sure that the way that we purse them together, the seam is still going to be shown along the inside, so in the same direction as this seam right here. And all we're going to do is find the first side row within the front panel. This is mine right here. I'm going to insert into that top loop. Find the first side row within the back panel. This is mine right here. I'm going to insert with 2 single crochets. So there's 1. Into that same top loop, which should be a little bit easier since everything is already gathered, with a second single crochet. That's it. Let's do the next one. This is my next side row within the front panel. Insert. Next side row within the back panel. Insert with 2 single crochets again. So there's 1. There's 2, and that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more side rows left to work into. Then do our same single crochet seam, working our way up the back half of our pants until we reach our band. What we do a chain up 1 and cut. So we are back and we have just completed seaming up the middle. Now from here, the last thing we're going to do is our drawstring. So we're all going to make a chain that can fit around the widest part of our hips, plus some extra slack, because we want to be able to tie a bow with it. I ended up making a chain of 175. And what we're going to do from here is weave it into the waistband. So I'm just going to talk you guys through it. We're all going to start by making sure we're looking at the front of our piece, making sure that our work is flipped right side out now. Then all we're going to do is trace our middle seam all the way up. Then what we're going to do from here is find a stitch where we'd like for the drawstring to sit. You guys can pick high, middle, low. I want for mine to be in the middle. And all I'm going to do is just work a few rows back. And into that stitch where I'd like for my drawstring to be, I'm just going to insert my hook all the way through until I reach the middle. Then from here, I'm going to insert my chain onto my hook now and just pull it through, but not all the way because we do need to leave some slack. Once we pulled it through, we're just going to continue to do this, making our way all the way around, and then I'll meet you guys back. We have just completed weaving on our drawstring and we are all done. Now the last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. There you have it, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!